Good morning. I'm just going to hold these in front of my face for a minute to see if they look as crazy to you as I think they look to me. I personally think they're wonderful. Good morning, everybody. I'm dangerous when I find a site that lets me print things, because, you know. All right then. I have two things to tell you first thing this morning. One is that I have new shoes up. They're lime green. They don't look lime green in this rather subdued light, but there we are. They're crazy lime green, as they should be, really. So it's the 22nd of the second month of 2022, and somebody, a friend of mine on Facebook, posted, and tonight at 10:22, going by military time, it'll be 20:22 and I had this, as I'm reading it, I had this overwhelming desire to kill him. Because, all right, I'm just going to pause for a second because I need to refresh my other screen so I can click on it and I can see your posts and say good morning when you're there. Look at that. You would almost think I knew what I was doing. Okay, all right, so that's good. Is it live or is it Memorex? Good morning, Charles. Good morning. So, we had a very busy time in Ottawa over the weekend. Ottawa is the tiny town where I live. It's not so tiny anymore, actually. It has over the whole city itself has a population of over 1 million people. But in the downtown core, where a lot of people I know make their home, we sort of live in the shadow of Canada's federal parliament. And as a result of that, people who take exception with the rules and regulations that are enacted often come to Ottawa, often come to the parliamentary district, the quarter, and to voice their opinion, and as they should. That's what it's all about. This time, though, we received a visit from a group of people who made their case and then didn't leave. Yeah, they didn't leave. They decided to make a commitment to waiting us out, waiting the decision makers out. In some way, shape, or form, they felt that by simply not moving, they would get their way. And historically, that doesn't work. They were giving it a very good try. And what made it difficult for the residents and the business owners and the people who go about their daily lives was that these people came in transport trucks and blocked all the streets and stayed up late and honked horns and celebrated their decision to take over a space. So here's what happened. It surprised people. It surprised people in a lot of ways because it upended their notion of the way life was supposed to be in their civilized little world. Yeah, much the way this pandemic has done. And the reason I'm telling you about this morning is that it suddenly occurred to me while I was watching what was going on. I couldn't go out and be part of it, so I watched on television and on the internet. And I realized a couple of things. One was that there were a couple of journalist friends of mine who did something that really shouldn't be thought of as amazing, and yet it was. One of them, one of our news networks, TV news anchors, grabbed his GoPro and went out and walked around. And didn't have a big badge on him saying, "Hi, I'm this." He just walked around with his GoPro, taking pictures, seeing what was up, listening, asking questions, finding out on the ground, with no real assignment, what life was doing in his town. How life had pivoted, all of a sudden, it felt, without anybody really seeing it coming. Yeah. And you know, and this is the reason I'm talking about it. I found myself glued to his updates because he was just there, live, just experiencing it. Excuse me a second. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Daniel. It's really lovely to see both of you. You too, Charles. Graham walked around getting to know the altered face of his town with no idea how it was going to change next. In any moment, at any moment, something could have gone bad. And he felt he needed, because he's a journalist, he needed to be there, to be witness to history, possibly. And the reason I want to state this now is that Graham decided to step in. He decided to examine. He didn't add his opinion. He didn't flavor it with his point of view. He presented to us, for us, what the camera was exposed to. And we were allowed to see for ourselves what was unfolding. And that doesn't happen all that often anymore. Way too many times, everything is filtered for us, whether we realize it or not. Even before, call it what you like, media, call it what you like, individuals on the streets, we have our own filters, and we see everything through those filters. And we get used to that filter. We decide that that filter is the way it is, when in fact, that filter just happens to be where we're standing now. That filter just happens to be the Abbey filter I'm looking through, right? The Abbey, the Abbey polka dots I'm gazing at the world through. Oh my goodness, I think my eyesight has improved. So I think that's really important, because when we feel scared, and we don't know that it's fear that we're feeling, when we feel unsettled, when we feel unsafe, and we don't know that that's what we're feeling, when we're not aware, we react in some level of panic, because that's the way our three brains are wired. In the face of a threat, primitive cave brain says, "I'll save you, Nell," and rushes to the rescue in the way that primitive cave brain always has. Stay with the alpha. Stay back from the cave. Something's going on. Do what we did, what we always do. Look to the alpha. Don't think for ourselves. Do what we always do. Yeah, and sometimes in a crisis, in a sudden shift, maybe the loudest alpha isn't the one we should be aligning ourselves with. Maybe we should take the time to analyze and then choose. Except that in a crisis, we're not in charge strategically. We're not in charge thinkingly. This brain that saves us from ourselves is the one in charge. And simply because you sign up for a coach, a motivator, who says, just say no, just do this. There's a problem with that. And I'm sharing this because I'm investing my time and yours in talking about this exciting opportunity we have to pivot, to change our focus, to change our direction, because it's time. For a lot of us, it's time. It may be long overdue. And we don't know how to do this because we have never paid attention to the way we do it. We've never known we could. So what happened for me was the element of surprise made me say, oh yeah, that's right. When I don't know any better, I hand things off to my cave brain. Because remember, when we get in the car and we drive a long time, we are not focused 100% of the time, every single second on the road. We start thinking about other things. When we drive home from work and we say to ourselves, need milk, gotta get milk, gotta get milk, gotta get milk. Yeah, when we get home, we didn't get milk, did we? No, we didn't. We said it at every stop sign, but by the time we got to the convenience store, we just sailed right on through. Why was that, do you think? Cave brain doesn't know about milk. Cave brain was around before milk. Cave brain has no idea what you're talking about. Cave brain just says, we'll just get home. Mind that, we'll just get home. When you reach the end of your journey on the highway, if somebody says, how was the drive? And your stage manager brain says, well, that's interesting. I don't remember the part between Y and Z. Y and Z. I remember X and Y, but I wonder where I was. What was I doing? Where was I? And the answer is, cave brain said, you know what? Take 5, I got this. We got this. We're good. I'll let you know if there's a problem. Cave brain is powerful. Cave brain triggers our emotions. Cave brain triggers our hormones. Cave brain has a partner in the back who makes sure that the heart keeps beating and we keep breathing and blinking. We don't have to think about that. We don't go through life every day saying blink, blink, breathe, breathe, hiccup. We don't do that. We don't have to do that because we got people in the back. These things are sneaky, and we never think about them. We certainly never think about the fact that stage manager brain needs to be given a wake-up call, to be invited to take over now. And the only person who can do that is us. We have to actually call that part of our brain out. We have to calm down our cave brain and say, good morning, I feel safe. I'm happy. Everything's great. We need to say that before we even get out of bed. We need to say, all things considered, it's a good day. We're good. Why? This isn't a pep talk. You can call it a pep talk. I like myself. No, it's not that. It's telling our cave brain, okay, thanks. You're good. Keep doing that thing that you do. We have strategy work. It's overdue. Right? That's what we have to do in order to accept, acknowledge, and work with all the parts of our brain that make us the absolutely fabulous person that we are. But we have to do the work. If we just let it go, well, we end up going to work in our pajamas with one sock because Kate Brain doesn't care. This is comfy. I feel good. Heads off. Strategic brain says, oh, shit. Actor brain says, oh, why am I wearing this? We can do this if we want to do this. That's really what it's all about. We have to remind ourselves how good it feels when we are in charge of something. And quite often, it takes a surprise. It takes a wake-up call of mammoth proportions to say, okay, so not this. Can we go back to that? Sometimes it takes that. Why? Well, we're busy. You know, we got stuff. We're lazy. We're thinking about dumb things. I read a thing this morning that said onion rings, veggie donuts. And I thought, veggie donuts, veggie donuts. Okay, so no, because now I'm thinking about Brussels sprouts covered in icing, and sorry, no. So we get distracted by all kinds of things. We get comfortable. We tell ourselves, you know what, it's not that bad. No, I'm good, it's not that bad. Yeah, the coffee's a little cold, but you know what? I can't be bothered getting up. The remote is all the way over there. I would have to roll over. And we make do with less. And we leave Cave Brain in charge. And Cave Brain keeps ordering pizza. So here's the thing, moving forward. The events of the weekend allowed me to think about the Pivot Master book. The interviews I had in the last few days allowed me to see this opportunity to put on the printed page all the things that my friends and partners in crime, hang on, speaking of partners in crime, Charles, Kat is watching too. Well, good morning, Kat, how are you? Waving from Canada, hon. Our partners are all the parts of us, and our other partners are the people we welcome into our lives at a point in time. And then we don't really pay attention. We get comfortable. We don't do the work of managing and reaching out with care the way we once did when everything was new. We take things for granted because it's just the way we are. It's how we're wired. So this opportunity to write the book and print the book, publish the book, I'll voice the book as well, but this opportunity to get it down on paper is not only an opportunity to celebrate and identify and high-five my partners in crime in this entire Story Me TV journey. It's an opportunity to invite anyone and everyone to take a look at what I'm saying, what these wonderful people are doing, and give everybody the opportunity to process and say, wow, I do that all the time. I didn't even realize I could do that. How interesting. And the minute, all by themselves, they say, that's important. That is the sound of curiosity waking up. Curiosity is awesome. Curiosity is the difference between it's not that bad and what's over there. What's over there? Huh, what are they having? Isn't that intriguing? Curiosity is the reason we smile. Curiosity is fearless. Curiosity wants to know more. Curiosity wants to see more. Curiosity wonders if we can do more. And that is our superpower. That's our pivot power in a nutshell. Our ability to pivot is based on our curiosity. If I'm only facing this way, this is the only thing I get to see. Sooner or later, I want to know what's front and center right here. What about over there? Ooh, who saw that coming? How exciting. That's pivoting. Very simply. So, every day when I come up with something I want to talk about, and by the way, before I move on, the weekend had a happy ending in Ottawa. A collective group of law enforcement officers from all across our country came to Ottawa. They all followed one plan. They all had one objective, and they executed it beautifully. Their plan was fix the problem for the greatest good and do no harm. And they did. They moved and advised and warned the people who had chosen to camp out in Ottawa that it was time to go. And they moved, and they moved, and they moved slowly, properly, carefully, and everyone left. No blood on the rug. No one left behind. It was a really astonishing thing to watch, because it allowed me to see, for the first time in a long time, how important it is to have a strategy, how important it is to have a plan, how important it is to have communication, clear and objective and focused, in order to get things done. How important it is to respect the other, no matter what. It was a really proud moment. So, moving on to the fun part of the program. Every time I do a video, I tell a story. Oh, I have to stop. Hang on. Steve Endicott. Ottawa is so peaceful and quiet now, it's beautiful. Ottawa is an extraordinarily beautiful city. Steve is right. It's lovely and precious to all of us. Thanks, Steve. So here's my story. Here's my wake-up call. Here's my, I don't know whether it's going to be my pivot hook, but it's pretty cool. So we lived in Germany for a while. My dad was stationed in Germany. After we had left France, we moved to a little town sort of near the Black Forest called Lahr. We didn't live in the military compound. My dad rented us a house. My dad always wanted me to feel like a civilian. Delusional. So we lived in a house. And it was a brand new house, and it had brand new appliances. It was really nice. It was really nice, very modern. Anyway, one day the stove didn't work. And so we didn't know who to call because we didn't know anybody. And by the way, we didn't sprechen any of the German. So my dad asked around and finally found somebody who gave him a name and said, you know what, never mind, I'll contact this person for you. So uh, it was after school and I was home when the doorbell rang. Okay. So I answered the door. I said, I'll get it, Mom. And I walked to the door and I opened the door. And there was, on the other side of the door, there was a man standing there in the typical outfit that Germans often wore, surprisingly, on any given day. He was actually wearing the lederhosen, the leather shorts and the thing. And he had a little hat, not the silly green hat, but he had a little hat. And he smiled brightly at me, and I smiled brightly back at him. And he said, "Goodbye." I said, "What?" And he said, "Goodbye. I am Willy Wickersheimer. I am here about the temptation." I said, "Mom?" My mother came. I'm standing to one side. And Willy said, "Ah, goodbye." And my mother did the same thing. And he explained himself all over again. And she said, "Oh, yes, the stove, the oven." He says, "Yeah, yeah." And so she invites him in, and he goes to the kitchen, and he has a little toolkit, and he's looking around. And after a little while, he says, "I am needing to get the parts, so tomorrow." And she said, "Okay." And I'm standing there watching whatever he was doing, and he packed up all his stuff, and he got his hat, and put it on his head, and he walked to the door, and we walked behind him to the door, and my mother opened the door, and he stepped across the door threshold, and he turned, and he said, "Hello," and walked away. "Goodbye, I am Abby." Hello. I'm not making fun, and I'm not culturally appropriating. That's the best German accent I've got. We lived there for a year. I should be doing better. Here's what that man did. He learned English brilliantly. He was doing his job in more than one official language. He probably spoke French too, maybe Italian. Who knows? He was multilingual. And by the way, when he came back and he fixed everything, it was great. And by the way, when he came back and the doorbell rang and I answered it and he was standing there and he said goodbye, and it took everything I had not to mess with his head and say, "And I'll say hello." It was the most bizarre thing that he had the greetings. He just had them in the wrong order. And he didn't know any different. It made sense to him. He said from his book, the welcome greeting is goodbye, and the farewell greeting is hello. Got it. Okay, where's my hat? Where's my bag? And he heads off to work. That was a pivot moment. That is a wonderful pivot moment for me, because what it did was it stopped my non-thinking brain going through the motions, my cave brain going through the motions. Stranger comes to cave, open cave door, check to see if safe, welcome in, what is the password, hello, okay. So when that formula got interrupted, cave brain said, "I got nothing," and handed it off to stage manager brain, who said, "I'm going to have to look this up. Here, actor brain, front and center, you're on." Actor brain, what? And I'm sure that Willy must have thought that we were all in some way damaged, because we all were acting like we'd never used our own language before, from his point of view, looking at us through his filter. See? So, I don't know if goodbye and hello are going to be hooks that you're going to like. But in the process of inching closer, sneaking up on this whole pivot mastery conversation and the building of the book and moving us a step closer to our interactive experience, I think a hook like that makes us laugh, that makes us blink and smile and shake our heads at us and the world, and the artificial things we put in place and say, hello is the word you use when you're greeting people. Why? Well, because that's what my mom said, so that's the word we use. Okay. Or not. It gives us a chance to reset. And I think that's where we can be. We can tell ourselves, if we're not good at this, if we're not, Charles, you like my German accent, Charles? If we're not handling this well, if we've reached a crossroads and we're standing here at the crossroads dithering on one leg longer than seems normal, beating ourselves up is just a time delay. It's a time vampire. It's stalling. We're going to be okay. Cave brain is going to be okay. Stage manager brain has got this. Pivoting is how we grow. Pivoting is how we say, that's not working for me anymore, so I'm going to draw a heart-shaped line around you and ask you to stand on the other side. And I'm going to love you from a distance because I have things to do and places to go. That's what pivotry is all about. Reclaiming our awesomeness. What do you think? Do you like that? I think that's amazing. And we all have Willy to thank. How's that? So, I'm almost to right time. I'm only a little bit over. Of course, I haven't done yet. So, I'm going to be back on Thursday. I have other stuff to tell you and share, and more interviews to talk about and follow up on. In the meantime, here's the drill. You know it by now. Take the deep breaths, the ones from the diaphragm. Take the deep breaths in and let them out. Relax your shoulders. Yeah. Letting the stress go takes a lot of forgiveness, a lot of trust, a lot of faith that it's going to be okay. And we are. We're going to be okay. Because we already are. In fact, we're not okay. We're fabulous. So, fabulous. Be good to you. You deserve it. And hug your loved ones, because they deserve it too. See you next time.